Cricket, our national treasure? Or dying irrelevance? Bodyline, tactical genius? Or national disgrace? The 100, inspired innovation? Or misguided mistake? Join the cricket conversation with a subscription to the Cricketer magazine.
How do you feel like you've changed? I mean, if you look back to, I think it was 2009 for Tammy, 2010 for Danni. I mean, if you sort of look back yourself a decade ago, I mean, yeah, how different a player are you now?
Well, I look back and I don't know how I got in the England team. I look back and I was so bad. But I used to open the bowling, so I was more of a bowler, but I knew I was a batter. But I don't know what it was. I just had no confidence. I used to think the coach didn't believe in me. So I just used to throw up some pies and get a few wickets for England. And then
I think you're selling yourself short, but
it wasn't until Mark Robinson and Ali Maiden came in. What year did they come in? 2016. 2016, and probably changed both mine and Tammy's career. So I think we both owe them too a lot. We both still get on with them now, even though they're not with us. But yeah, Ali and Robbo were amazing for both of us, and personally, like, it's just amazing to have the belief from your coaches. Like, it's amazing what that can do to your brain when you go out there and bat, knowing that you've got the backing from your teammates and your coach. So I owe a lot to Ali and Robbo.
Yeah, I think I remember playing with Danni on my first academy tour. I think it was England under 21s. We went to Holland, and Danni was there as well. I think you might have gone the year before as well. And then I remember sort of playing against her for Staffordshire, and Georgia Ellis and Danni used to open the batting for Staffordshire, and there I was playing for Kent. We could never get them out. So yeah, I knew Danni could bat when we were about 15, 16. But I think both of us were incredibly, quite talented youngsters, but didn't necessarily understand our own games. And I think looking back at myself, I got picked as a wicketkeeper on my first 2 tours.
In batting 11.
I think I batted at 8, 9, 10, 11 on that tour. But at the time, I got picked kind of on my raw talent as a wicketkeeper, but I'd always seen myself as a batter who kept wicket. But at the time, I didn't really know. I think coaches often said, "Oh, go out and just do what you do." And at 18, I didn't actually understand what I did. I just did it, and it didn't quite work at international level. It certainly didn't work batting at number 8 when I've opened all my life for sort of Kent and everything like that. So it didn't work, and when it didn't work, I didn't understand.
And there's so much pressure playing for England as well.
Yeah, and there's there's a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of kind of expectation, and you just kind of, you don't quite understand yourself. You don't understand how you work or how you play. But then I think, it took kind of Robbo coming in and being really explicit with me with what he expected with me, and almost, if you fail, as long as you fail doing this, I don't care. Like, I'll give you another go. But if you fail doing the opposite, then I'll come and tell you off. And I was like, fair enough. And I think when someone's that straight,
they were both very harsh on me and Tammy as well, but it worked. Like, they knew how to get the best out of us, really. So
I think it was constructive, but it sort of it did kind of push the right buttons as such.
Do you feel like you're braver cricketers, if that's the right word for it? I guess when you first come into an international side, is there sort of that bit where you're really excited to be there, but you're also sort of scared about losing your place, and you sort of, it's such a long road to get there in the first place that you don't want to lose it all? Is that fair? That you
I think
you
so.
sort of become braver and more confident?
I think as well, like when you're an established player, you can have like 4 failures in a row and you'll get that 5th chance. But when you're trying to establish yourself in the team, unless you're like extremely talented and like, your unique skill set to the team, you do kind of only get a couple of goes in a row, and then
you drop.
Then you dropped, or it's the next series and someone else is in form, so they give them a go. So I think quite often it's the hardest thing is to establish yourself and to have the coach kind of go, actually, you're going to get a run of 4 games in a row. Doesn't matter what you do. I want you to go out and do it. It gives you that belief in kind of yourself. And I think once you know what your role is, what the team expects of you, and how you can actually do it, then it's so much easier to go out and actually not care about getting out. I think if you're always thinking, if I don't score runs, I'm going to get dropped the next game, then you can never perform to your potential, because you're just thinking, you know, I can't get out. Whereas, you know, both Danni and I do like to be more attacking than anything. So we actually have to think, how are we going to score? Yeah. And if we get out trying to do that, then that's fine.
As you get older as well, more experience, you learn your own game. You know more than anyone how you work, basically. So I know that I'm at my best when I'm out there trying to run well with Tam early on, or if it's there hitting it over cover. So yeah, you know yourself more than anyone.
Do you know when you're at your best now? Is that a difference? You sort of, when you're playing well, in your mind, you know that you are playing well, and also why you're playing well as well.
Yeah, I think so. Do you?
I don't know. I kind of find, so my dad always texts me, because obviously he can't really come and watch at the minute. He's like, "Oh, are you in form?" And I'm like, I have a problem with the word form. Like, so for me, quite often I find my technique's good. So I'm not really working on anything technical anymore. Occasionally a few things like crop in, and that is maybe why I don't do as well for a little period. But actually, for me, my form I see as like a big mental thing, because quite often I'll be playing well, but it's whether I'm mentally sharp enough that in a game I'm not just going to give my wicket away. And I think that's kind of where I'm at now, where it's like, are you on form with your mental skills is probably more important for me than how my technique is working. Because normally I can kind of, particularly in 50 over cricket, you can, if you're not playing that well technically, you can just about get away with it if you get past new ball. Whereas actually, if you're mentally switched on, that's when you don't get a 20, you get 50 and 100 and stuff.
Yeah, because Danni, you went through that phase. Sorry, you went, Danni. I was going to say, you went through that phase when obviously you went away, remodeled your action, and sort of lost that. So if I say you sort of lost a string to your bow for a bit of time. So it does more pressure almost go on the batting at that point, and then you sort of have to find a way even more than before.
Yeah, I remember when it was in the World T20 in Sri Lanka. I was bowling against Sophie Devine, and I just felt like I couldn't bowl. I don't know what it was at the end of my run up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in the World Cup semi-final. I'm in the bowling, I'm bowling at Sophie Devine, and I ended up getting her out, caught it cow. But I was just like, I'd never felt it before, and I was like, I just froze. And then my lower back started hurting, and then I was really grumpy and moody. I managed to somehow get through 4 overs, and then from then on it was really downhill. My batting was coming on. I remember Paul Shaw the coach at the time, or whoever was the coach. He said something to me about my batting. He was like, "Oh, I reckon you've got it in you to be a great batter." So I just kept working on my batting, and I knew deep down that I was going to end up a batsman, not a bowler. And then ended up getting smashed against the Aussies one game, and I've never bowled since. So yeah, it did kick me up the bum, and yeah, I just had massive belief in my batting since then.
I think Danni is like a massive talent. I remember you winning as a game against Australia in that was 2012 World Cup. Like we were down and out, and I think you went in at maybe 6 or 7.
Me, Sarah Taylor.
And she hit like Elise Perry for 6 over mid off, and then did something else the next ball over extra cover, and like won us the game from sort of nowhere.
I've always played like a pinch hitter role for a few years, and I'd get like flashy 20, 30, but that never made careers. Like Mark Robinson said, 30s never made
kill careers.
Yeah,
always said that.
Yeah, it wasn't until the Ashes 2017 where I got my first T20 50 and then got the 100.
Yeah, Warwickshire boys be ready for that saying, 30s kill careers.
Yeah.
Was that a moment for you, Danni, where you sort of felt like you not belonged, but is there a moment where you really feel like you've got it, if you know what I mean, at international level?
Yeah,
so obviously Tammy, because Tammy, you hadn't made 100 until Mark came in, obviously, and then you made 7 ODI tons in 2-3 years.
I hadn't made a 50 until
the same.
The day before I made 100. So we got washed out at Leicester, Robbo's first game at home against Pakistan.
Yes.
And we played the next day because we had to do reserve days. So we played on the Tuesday and I got 70. And then we played on the Wednesday and I got 100. And that was the first 50 I'd ever got for England, followed by the first 100.
And that was like me against the Aussies. I got a 50 and then the 100.
Yeah.
Is probably a silly question, but how big is that 100 for you? Like, is that the moment that, you know, you go, okay, I can do this kind of thing?
Yeah, I think I still probably have doubts now that I feel like I've got found out or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, everyone does.
I think you always kind of have that man on your shoulder, and almost the more success you have, the worse it is. It's like, you know, I went for a stage probably 2 years ago where I went out expecting to get 100 every game, and anything less than that, I was like, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not doing your job. And I remember I did actually get 300s in a row, and instead of being absolutely elated, I was like, oh, I did my job today. Like that was how I saw it. So you kind of go through these really weird phases, but I do think the minute you get an international 100, it's sort of like, okay, no one can take that away from you. Like no matter what, if you don't play again ever, like no one can take that like little one out of the column 100. So I think that is a really special moment because it is sort of an elite club, really. Like not that many people have got, you know, ODI hundreds or T20 hundreds. So once you've got that, no matter kind of how
got
bad
a T20 100 as well.
Yeah, you've got two.
We
just quiz, that one wasn't one of the answers. I'd have got that.
Does that attitude come with? Do you think that comes at all with playing in a team that is very dominant? I mean, Tammy, you made your debut in obviously late in 2009 when, I guess, on the back of towards the end of one of England's most successful ever years. I mean, what was it like for both of you, I guess, coming into a side that was so successful? Is that how challenging is that? Because presumably they're not in a place when they necessarily need new talent.
Yeah, it was a strange one because I think so in the cap numbers I'm 109 and Anya Shrubsole is 108, and I'm sure she made her debut at least 2 or 3 years before me. So no, I'm sure she was like 16 when she made her debut, and she was 17, 18 when I made mine. So, you know, like they had a very settled team when I came in, and Danni was only a couple of months later. So, you know, it was very settled, very much successful. But actually we had quite what's the word? A shake-up on the tour I went on. We actually lost to the West Indies in both series 2-1. And I think at the time they were ranked like 7th or 8th in the world. So it was a real shock. And I remember when I got selected, they actually said it's a training tour as well as playing these games against West Indies. So it's going to be physically demanding, but you're going to have some ODIs as well. So almost like the attitude was, you know, this is sort of a training camp sort of thing. And then we lost. So it was a big wake-up call, I think. Obviously because they just won 2 World Cups, but yeah, it was an incredibly tough to go into that team with some absolute legends, really, like that had just won the World Cup. Try and feel like you actually belonged there. I don't think I've felt like I belonged there for a long time.
I was like that.
Danni, is starting so young a challenge? I mean, because you made your county debut for Staffs very young, didn't you? So is it? I guess how long is it before you feel sort of settled in any environment when you're starting?
I don't think I settled in the England squad until probably around 2017. I was always thinking, if I fail this tour, that'll be it. Yeah, I just didn't feel like backed by the captain or the coaches. They just thought I was there for a flashy 20. So it probably wasn't until 2017.
Do you feel like the meaning? How's the best way of phrasing this? Does the meaning of winning change as you grow up? If you know what I mean? Does it? I guess the philosophy around it and the way you react to a win and both on the field and off the field afterwards.
We always have our team song, don't we?
Yeah, so I think it has changed. I think I remember one of the first sort of T20 World Cups where we didn't win and you're gutted and you get a runners-up medal, and almost like it pained me to bring it home. Like I threw it in my kit bag and I left it there. And I was like, oh, I don't want it. Like, oh, it's the wrong colour. We should have won. Like, da da da. And I've still got it. And I found it like during lockdown. And it was someone who didn't play cricket in my household was like, that's amazing, you know. Like, anyone would be like would love to have that or whatever. And you know, like, I think you grow up and I look at it now and I'm like, I am proud actually. Like, yes, maybe we didn't come away with the trophy, but you know, you still got to a World Cup final, and I've now played in quite a few, as has Danni, and I think you grow up a bit, and it's almost one of those. It's like you don't want to look back on your career and kind of have regrets that you didn't enjoy it or didn't appreciate it at the time. And I think I do think when I finish, I will be able to say, yeah, I was runner-up 3 times.
But at the time, it's like, oh, I don't want a runners-up medal. You get to appreciate more, don't you? And it's like, oh,
is that the best lesson you've?
Can play in a World Cup final.
Yeah, is that the best lesson you've taken from international cricket? That I guess perspective, if nothing else.
Oh, I think I've taken a lot of lessons. I think.
Oh God,
Go
yeah.
No, I think the big one is kind of putting yourself out there and being kind of out of your comfort zone. You know, I think where I was brought up, it would be more than acceptable to kind of, you know, work at the school you went to and live down the road from your parents and never leave deepest, darkest Kent almost. And yeah, I think it's really kind of made me, I think in particular, like, you know, dip a toe in the water and see what else is out there, and you know, consider new things and challenge yourself and really stretch yourself. And I've always said, I've gone through a lot of tough times in my career. I'm sure you've probably read about them or you can realize it. But I've always felt like I didn't want to walk away from the game because I wanted to really reach my potential. And I always felt there was like something holding me back at times. So I always decided like I was always going to keep going until I felt like I'd sort of exhausted every avenue.
That's a good thing with cricket. You're always learning, aren't you? Like every day.
And I think, you know, at the beginning of my career, I wouldn't have thought like that. So I definitely think it's kind of changed my perspective on things for sure.
Danni, what about yourself?
I still pinch myself that I'm touring the world playing for England. Like, I'm living the dream. I just play for myself and my family and the team, obviously. So I don't like to think too much about cricket. Like, I still just go out there and enjoy it, have fun with all the girls. Like, that's the best part about playing cricket for England, is touring with the likes of this one. And we call ourselves our sisters, don't we? Yeah. But yeah, I've learned so much. Like, I don't know what I'd be doing if I wasn't playing cricket for England.
If you take cricket out of it, do you think you two are sort of an unlikely sort of pair of friends? Given that, as you say, Tammy, you're from Kent, and obviously Danni, you're from Staff. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily cross paths.
Robbie Williams.
Oh yeah, Robbie Williams.
I actually went to Stoke-on-Trent when I was 10 for a gymnastics competition. So maybe I'd have met you.
Yeah, like, that's the best thing, isn't it? Making friendships. Like, I would never have met Tammy if it wasn't for cricket, and you just make friends for life.
Cricket, our national treasure? Or dying irrelevance? Bodyline, tactical genius? Or national disgrace? The 100, inspired innovation? Or misguided mistake? Join the cricket conversation with a subscription to the Cricketer magazine.